Welcome back, everybody. This is Futbol on Futbol, episode 20-something. Lost count now. We've been coming at you for over 20 weeks. I was going to say consecutively, but we took a break at the beginning of COVID before we figured out the remote. But yeah, thanks for joining us once again. I am Frankie, here with Andres at the moment.
Yo.
And Rafa in the back. Behind the keys. Johnny will call in a little bit. But busy show as the last couple of weeks have been. I'm calling this the summer of football because there's no baseball, there's no basketball playoffs, there's no nothing. The only thing going on right now is European soccer. Thankfully, we love European soccer. So lots to talk about from last week and lots to talk about in this incoming week because England returned. We have English soccer, Italian soccer returned, and they returned like La Liga did. And what I mean is teams are playing like every 3 days. So we're already seeing matches coming really fast. A lot of action already. A lot of rust, I will say. Other than the Bundesliga, which is rounding out, there's a lot of rustiness and players still finding their rhythm. Before we get into any of that, though, got to give props to Andres here, now 3-week consecutive winner of the picks on the show here. 5 out of 6 last week. Damn, you were on it. All those draws, huh?
There were a lot of draws last week.
There were a lot of draws, yeah.
Some were fortunate, but we can get back. We can get to that later.
No, I was going to make fun of you, or I was going to try to tease you and say it's fortunate, but actually, I'll give you credit and say it was actually pretty logical because of what I just said, right? Some of these leagues are coming back. It's their first or second match, so they're settling in, right? So teams like Liverpool, right, are still getting sharp and things like that. It's fortunate, but actually, sorry about that. Now, the Premier League returned last Wednesday, so almost a week ago, with 2 matches on last Wednesday. Aston Villa versus Sheffield United opened, and it was quite an opening to the Premier League restart. One, because it was the first match where we saw every team, every player with the Black Lives Matter over their number. So instead of where their name usually went, that said Black Lives Matter. And every team so far this past week in the Premier League has started the match by taking a knee, which is really cool. That they're using their global platform to bring these issues to the attention. But at the same time, I just kind of wish they maybe took it a little bit further because of that. The Premier League is huge. So while it's good to see individual players like we've already seen in the Bundesliga, like Jadon Sancho, it would have been cool to see some initiative where maybe they sold some of these Black Lives Matter shirts. I know I had somebody text me, Troy, a friend of mine from Salt Lake City, texted me that he would have liked to buy one, right? Or I bet there was a lot of people that might have wanted a Copa Liverpool jersey, right, with Black Lives Matter on the back. And it would have been cool if they did that and then like donated the proceeds or a portion of what they sold, right? That would have been really putting their money where their mouth is. But either way, really cool showing. And then there was a failure of goal line technology, right? We've already had all this controversy over VAR and VAR being phased in terribly into the Premier League. And then we had goal line technology, which has already been used for years. I don't know if it wasn't on or if it malfunctioned, but Sheffield United clearly scored a goal. The Aston Villa keeper kind of bobbled it into the goal, and somehow it was ruled not a goal. And Sheffield United, of course, is in the running for those European spots, so that could be a crucial 2 points for them. So not maybe the right kind of attention or drama you want to see at the start of a restart like this, but entertaining nonetheless. And then Man City proceeded to thoroughly and comfortably beat Arsenal. Arsenal starting restarting rather, in their regular fashion by disappointing and poor defending. David Luiz doing David Luiz things and getting a red card and conceding a penalty. Um, quite a interesting stat, right? He now has the most red cards and most PKs conceded in the Premier League this year, which is quite an honor, I guess. And then, of course, Friday we had Spurs versus United in what ended in a draw. So let me back up a little bit. Let's backtrack here. City has now played 2 matches and scored 7 goals. So they're looking like their depth is truly going to be serving them. We already saw players like Foden score 2 goals, Mahrez score 2 goals, even though Agüero looks like he just injured his knee, right? So it doesn't look like they're skipping a beat. Looks like they're going to, finish the season comfortably in 2nd place. And they look primed to compete in the Champions League. Arsenal, not so much. I think Arteta is still... Well, here, before I talk about Arsenal, what do you think about City? Looking back on 2 matches now, the second of which where they thumped Burnley 5-0. Speaking of Burnley, somebody flew a plane that was carrying a White Lives Matter sign over the Man City Burnley match, just to kind of show you the climate that these matches are being played in, right? In a pandemic and social unrest. But what do you think about City after they beat Arsenal and Burnley?
I think that City are prime for that, late stage season run that they were kind of hoping for. I think their depth kind of shows more now that they have 5 subs, because they can put on players that are maybe on the fringe of playing, that like Foden, who definitely has talent. Ederson, I think Ederson has like no shots on target faced, so the defense is definitely shored up with Laporta back. If they can stay healthy, I mean, they have enough up there with Bayern, to challenge for Champions League and think the FA Cup as well. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to drop any points. I think they're just going to try to keep momentum and hopefully do well in Champions.
Well, yeah, and now Liverpool can potentially seal the title against Man City on July 2nd, right? So now all eyes on that matchup in just about a week. So that'll definitely be exciting. Looking at, especially considering the form of both of these teams coming into it, right? Now Arsenal, I was going to say, when Arteta came in earlier in the year, they looked promising, right? And there's really interesting, articles and books and even studies now that genuinely teams always play better after a manager, right? The players kind of ride out the high of a change, right? So usually it, like we saw with Solskjaer and Man United last year, doesn't really have to do so much with the tactics and the manager, right? As much as the breath of fresh air, if you will. It looks like that's over at Arsenal, right? And I think it looked like Arteta is just experimenting. We saw a lot of Saka, the youngster, right, who had been played at left back, has been played in different positions both matches now. We saw 2 different left backs too in those matches. We saw Kieran Tierney at left back in the first match, and then we saw Kolasinac at left back in the second match. A lot of tinkering here, so I kind of get the sense that he's really trying to see who he's going to keep, and where he needs to really invest or really make some moves. Now, I think the tricky part with that is, as usual with Arsenal, is will they spend? Usually they don't, and then we have COVID, so I don't know if they will. But
yeah, I heard some reports that they were trying to get their David Luiz to 1-year contract and some other defender on a 1 year. So it seems like they're not investing too big on defenders.
Yikes!
If that's so, I don't know if players like Aubameyang are going to stay on board for a project like that. So maybe Barca comes, picks them up, is what you're hearing. I mean, yeah, Arteta inherited a pretty lousy defense. So I mean, against Man City, you're gonna get blasted 3-0. So give him time. Still trying to transition game, and we'll see what happens.
Quick shout out to our boy Ryan. Ryan in the north. Ryan from the north. Quick to remind me that it's Zidane's birthday. Zinedine Zidane, Zizou. I do not hate Zizou, contrary to popular belief, Ryan. I won't have you slandering me. He's actually one of my favorite players growing up, and it is his birthday today. And Madrid plays tomorrow, so maybe he gets a W for his birthday. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But do you think, though, should Arteta be tinkering and trying to figure it out, or should they be trying to get the European spot? Because Spurs won today, so they moved up. Wolves won. Raul Jimenez became the highest scoring Mexican player in the history of the Premier League. Everybody else, Chelsea won. So can he really afford to be tinkering, or does he need to focus on at least getting a Europa spot, you think?
I don't think they're going to compete even if they get a Europa. So Arteta should just do what feels natural to him. And I mean, next season, if they invest, great. But I think he's in there for a 4-year project, kind of like Klopp. I think that's on average what it takes for a club that low to kind of build up to be a contender again.
So would it be to their benefit to miss out on Europe entirely next season and just focus on getting better in the league and improving maybe their young core?
Yeah, they have a lot of young players, and I feel it's benefit probably the cheapest and the best way nowadays to build a team. So I think Arteta's probably I like the lineup you saw against City. There are a lot of young players, so I think he's just going to keep that going forward. Although Martinelli hurt his knee and it could be bad, so.
Ooh, I didn't read that one. That's not good. The good thing, I mean, you never. Anytime there's an injury like that, it's not good, right? But I think he's 19, so he's still got a long career ahead of him. But hopefully he's fine. But yeah, not looking good for Arsenal as far as bringing in that European money. And my thing is, I feel like they need that European money because the owner, again, Stan Kroenke, is notoriously, shall we say, stingy, right? They don't buy players. Okay, so part of that was Wenger. Wenger had this strategy of not wanting to overspend, right? And he was probably one of the biggest proponents that the modern market for soccer transfers was ridiculous, right? That's part of it. But at the same time, again, the Kroenkes don't really invest in their American teams. They own the Rapids as well in the MLS. Not a good team. They own the Rams. The Rams are trying to be a good team and were in the Super Bowl not too long ago, right? And I think they just spent a pretty penny on that new stadium for the Rams there in LA. So their focus is usually elsewhere. So I think if Arteta wants to make some changes or make some buys, he has to try to get at least Europa and get some of that Europa windfall. Because otherwise, it's like, I guess Johnny says about Man United, right? Johnny doesn't really see the appeal of going to Man United right now. I don't really see the appeal of going to Arsenal right now if I can't even get into Europa as much as I like Arsenal. But really tricky for them in the next couple of weeks because already in the 2 match days, they're positioned as the outsiders, I would say, for any European spot. And everyone above them looks pretty comfortable. So I would say that definitely benefits Spurs. Spurs, of course, tied Manchester United on Friday. It was a 1-1. Bergwijn, the January signing, has made a pretty good impact on Spurs since he joined. Some of that might be that Mourinho has joined as well, right? But they had a long ball that Maguire got smoked for. Harry Maguire, one of the most expensive defenders of all time, just got turned by Steven Bergwijn. And Bergwijn took a low-driven shot straight at David De Gea. Now, De Gea, 2.5 years ago, we were talking about as tops in the world, right? As single-handedly keeping United relevant sometimes. Now, people are talking about him being overrated. I don't know if you saw the shot, but I think he could have saved it. Granted, it looked like there was some zip on it, but it also looked like he kind of like punched it, right? Where he could have just put his palm on it. just was not a good look for him. In the end, Pogba got a penalty that Bruno Fernandes converted. I will say that what we've kind of been hoping for and guessing, except for Johnny, right? Johnny could have sworn that Pogba had played his last match for United already, but he came on as a substitute, and United looked much brighter. They looked much brighter with Pogba in there. And the way that him and Fernandes started to link up, I got to say, was pretty promising. And Pogba had this one pass cross field, must have been like a 40-yard long ball that was straight to the feet, I think, of Martial.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but Martial wasted the opportunity, I believe it was. And it could have been a goal. But again, he got 30 minutes, but Pogba looking pretty decent in what I think could be a good partnership there in the midfield for United. But I'll backtrack a little bit and ask you this. Is David De Gea overrated? Is he past his prime now? What do you think? Because I feel like he fell off or started to fall off steeply. He's got this stat now where I think his errors have contributed to more goals than any other goalkeeper in the last year or two. So is he overrated? Has he always been overrated? What do you think?
I think he has quality. It's just that maybe the media kind of portrays him as, very error prone, and that kind of just adds to a loss of confidence, especially after a game like this where the only shot, or not the only shot, but a very good shot at him was kind of for a goal. I'd say he has competition next season for his spot if he keeps being error prone. They have Dean Henderson from Sheffield United, kind of waiting on loan. So, I mean, hopefully he bounces back, but I mean, it's not looking good for him. He's definitely, his stock has definitely declined over the years.
I would agree. And I think if anything, the media or people are kind of leaning into him because of form, right? Since the World Cup, probably. He hasn't been he's been very error prone, right? And I guess when your team isn't getting results, it's that much more noticeable, right? I will say it's so much easier to notice goalkeeping errors, right? But it must also be noted that goalkeepers wouldn't be making errors like that if their defense was covering them more, right? So there's something to be said about that. And I think if you're going to sell him, the time is now. You bring up the excellent point of Dean Henderson. Henderson has had a great season in the Premier League with Sheffield United this year, but I don't know if he's ready to be United number one. Maybe I'm wrong. But I also feel like if you're going to try to cash in or sell De Gea, the time is right now, right? When you said his stock is quickly declining. So got to cash in on him there. But otherwise, United plays later on this week. We'll see a little bit more from them, because I will say they looked a little bit, again, lacking in the first half until Pogba came in 15 minutes into the second half.
I will say that United kind of need a true number 9. Martial misses a lot of chances. Rashford on the left kind of, doesn't really do it for me. Greenwood looked like their brightest prospect, and he had a really good shot at the end of the game. Could have scored. I think they just need that, real Harry Kane player, that Sergio Aguero, someone who can score like 30 goals for them. And I think with Pogba in the mid and for Fernandes, they can get something going there. I think they're just missing 1 or 2 big signings. We'll see what happens next season.
Yeah, and then Spurs. This is since tying United on Friday, they actually played today. They played earlier today, and they won 2-0. Harry Kane got his first goal in 2020 off a breakaway to seal it after there was an own goal by West Ham for the first goal. So Kane on the score sheet is obviously good, but what I did notice about Spurs against United, it's the way they play on the break in transition. They really are missing somebody to kind of link that transition into attack. They really, really miss Eriksen right now. Eriksen is looking good for Inter, which we'll get into later, but I think he was sorely missed. So as good as it is to see Kane scoring and Bergwijn being dangerous, and Son kind of rounding into form a little bit too. I don't see, other than maybe Lo Celso, I don't see a player like that that Spurs has. And let's say even Lo Celso is that guy. What happens when he's not fit or he's having a bad run of form, right? I think they need to address that in the summer. But because Arsenal is so bad, I think they edge out Arsenal and possibly even Sheffield to get into those Europa spots. I still don't see them getting into Champions or 5th place, but they're looking like they're trending in the right direction. Any thoughts on Spurs?
I think Harry Kane, good to see him on the score sheet. He's a little rusty, definitely off that injury. Yeah, and like you said, I agree. I think they need one more player to kind of push the ball forward. Against West Ham, they put 3 players that kind of like to push up and not really hold as much, whereas versus United, they kind of went a little conservative. But they kind of need to find some balance, which they might get from Dembele, but there's that whole row with Mourinho. Who knows how that goes? But if he's got to make a point, he's got to make a point to get him to play better. But if maybe with him in the lineup and maybe they get some form, some momentum, and they can probably finish, top 5.
Top 5, yeah. 5th is the best they can do, but I still would probably pick United or maybe even Wolves because I don't think anybody is knocking Chelsea off of 4th. Chelsea looked good against, I'm blanking out on who they played. I forgot who they played. Was it Aston Villa? It was Aston Villa. Yeah, they played Aston Villa and won 2-1. And Villa actually scored first, 1-0. Now that I think about it, I was actually watching the match. I'm acting up. But then they scored in the blink of an eye. Christian Pulisic, the young American, came on and scored almost immediately after coming on. And then there was a second goal to clinch the victory, 2-1. It was Tammy Abraham, I believe, right? Tammy Abraham got the second one?
No, Giroud.
Oh, Olivier Giroud. I forgot. It was a deflected strike. That's right. Olivier Giroud. Definitely looking worthy of that 1-year contract extension. Or was it 2 years? I can't remember the exact length, but he's been extended now with Chelsea and immediately proving his worth in this restart. So I think the Chelsea looked good, and, they're going to get players back. They played Ruben Loftus-Cheek on the left wing, and he usually plays midfield, but that kind of, I think, is a testament to some of the depth they had, because in the midfield, they also played without Jorginho. They played Kovacic, N'Golo Kante, and they still, kind of had a pretty, the first half was back and forth, but the second half they improved a lot and were, visibly the better team. Lampard has had a solid first season in the Premier League, and again, what he's done with this core of young players for the most part, and kind of a patchwork defense where they still kind of look a little suspect. Rudiger made a really bad back pass in this match against Aston Villa that really could have put them in a trickier spot. But I don't see any of the teams behind them kind of falling off. In fact, I can possibly even see Chelsea going into 3rd. Leicester drew today. And I think the gap between them and Chelsea is getting smaller and smaller. So Chelsea's I think in prime position to maybe finish a little bit higher than they are. Would you agree that Chelsea is primed to maybe finish in that 3rd or 4th spot, or do you see anybody catching up to them?
I don't think they go as far as 3rd. They'll bounce around 4th, 5th, 6th, maybe, if they lose form. It's good to see Pulisic score. I always thought he was an important player for them. He has that kind of edge to him. He kind of pops up when they kind of need him most. He had some impact before he got injured, so it's good to see him back on the score sheet. And then Giroud, Giroud gets those goals once in a while, so we'll see. They have a tough test. I don't think they'll beat City, but we'll see how they do moving forward.
They play City next, right? So I guess we'll see then. But you see Leicester staying there then in 3rd place?
Yeah, they're just For me, they're a third place team. You know, they're there. They're not really pushing forward. They're not really pushing down. They're getting their W's, their draws. I don't see them moving from there or falling too far behind.
And finally, with the Premier League, we waited until Sunday to see the first place team in action in the Merseyside Derby, Liverpool versus Everton, in what finished as a 0-0, misfiring Liverpool. They finished with the bulk of possession and were, for the most part, dangerous in the match. But there's a couple injuries and a lot of imprecision. Mo Salah had a knock and didn't start. Robertson, the starting left back, left injured. Didn't finish the first half. He limped out. So while they had the bulk of possession and players like Minamino looked pretty lively, and they still, like I said, bossed the match, they were lacking up front, which I think is a little bit concerning because this was kind of the pattern before the break. They kind of ran out of steam in the attack, which was why I think landing Timo Werner was such a priority for them, right? We can now confirm. Last week, I think we were suspecting it, but we can now confirm that Werner will not be going to Liverpool. So I think this also kind of highlights that maybe lack of options coming off the bench. But at the same time, I feel like it's not too concerning yet because at least they're creating the chances. So it's just a matter of finding form. And also, these guys are coming back from 3 months and into one match back. So if this continues, then we'll see. But maybe it's a little bit of complacency too, right? Liverpool is up 20 points. Maybe they know that, right? Maybe it's a psychological thing. Johnny joining us now at the perfect time to talk about Liverpool. 0-0 against Everton this weekend. What did you notice? What did you like, or what didn't you like about Liverpool, Johnny? I think you're muted, bro.
A little bit of sound problems there.
I heard you say yeah, but I can't hear you now, Johnny.
Well, here's my take on Liverpool. I think they don't have a backup plan. I think you lose Salah, who do you put in there? You don't really have a player like Salah in that position. You put Minamino, but Minamino is not, the kind of player that will offer what Salah does. You could lose Robertson, you put in Milner. Milner doesn't really go up. Great defensive player, but he doesn't really offer that creativity moving forward. So now you got the whole right wing not creating. You got Robertson, or you got Trent maybe misfiring. Firmino maybe, not being the bulky center forward that can get goals by himself. So you have a lot of pieces, but not the right pieces in the right places. Moving forward, I think they need to address that. They need to get depth in those positions if they're going to challenge next season. But yeah, like you said, they're 20 points up. They're not too concerned, but anyone who knows Liverpool knows if they can't score goals, that's a problem.
Did you guys hear me talking earlier?
No.
Oh, my bad. But I can't believe I just heard that this motherfucker's talking shit about a Liverpool team that is 22 points or whatever ahead, and talking about the team just looked rusty. Like, no team to me looks particularly good right now. And it's just a matter of they didn't lose, they didn't win, whatever. But I saw the lineup too. They started Milner on the left, Minamino on the right. Salah didn't play, but I didn't think much of it. I think a tie was a fair result. I saw the highlights. It looked like a stinker, to be honest. But I think me and Frankie were talking about it. What we think that what Andres has mentioned. I don't know that it's that critical of pieces that they're missing. They just need like an attacking midfielder, maybe. Obviously, that would be the one part. I think Milner does a good job substituting on the left, or Joe Gomez too. Joe Gomez can play on the right side. They played Matip in the middle too. He hadn't played in a while. Milner's back. This is just a closeout for all you other teams out there that couldn't make it competitive within the amount of matches before coronavirus, aka Man City. But we'll talk about. Have you talked about Man City yet?
Just that they've won 2 matches.
They look impressive, though. I will say that the last 2 games they shut me up against Arsenal, and then they just kind of took it to who they play last?
Burnley.
Yeah. So they're coming out. For me, I've been having them all year for champions.
Well,
But
Liverpool's only other draw came with United, and they didn't have Salah. So I mean, there's a pattern there. You know, your 2 games that you drew, you don't have Salah, you don't have anyone on that side. That you gotta reinforce for the next season.
That's only 2 games, and they've won every other game.
Yeah, they'll win the title,
games, bro. What are you talking about?
They'll win the title. They'll win the title. But next season, there'll be 6 teams trying to fight. You know, they're gonna need to add players on the wing, and if they don't do it, they're gonna have a problem. And this last game proved it.
No, hell no. You're crazy. Still, they don't need players on the wing. They already have Salah, Mane, and Firmino front 3. Obviously, they need one more forward up top, but I don't know all this talk that you're saying that they need all these pieces and whatever. They need an attacking midfielder, and I would say that's it. And then competition for the left back and the right back, but not like Trent Arnold and Robertson are world class, low key.
Let me ask you this, then,
but let's agree to disagree. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, since Andres brought up that next year it'll probably be more competitive, right? A lot of teams are having bad seasons. Who do you see right now? Andres thinks Chelsea stays at 4th, and we both are thinking Arsenal misses out on Europe next year. So do you still see Chelsea getting that technically last Champions League spot? And who do you got right in behind them right now after this weekend?
I saw the Chelsea highlights too, and I do think we'll finish top 4. They play just very good, sound football, like very basic but very effective. You know, the first goal, the cross, that's just a normal soccer. There's 3 guys on there, center it, and see what happens. You know, if the first guy doesn't get it, the second guy gets it. That's how the Pulisic goal came about. I like that they started Giroud. They have low-key, they have options everywhere. On the bench, they still got Pedro. They got William. On the midfield, you know, they got Kovacic. They got Jorginho. They got Kante, who got injured. So, and the defense, too. The defense a little inexperienced, but they make up for it in that mid. It's a good, solid team. I'm very impressed with Lampard. I would almost want to give him Coach of the Year if Liverpool didn't run away with it so easily this year, you know?
And what about United? They finished 5th after Pogba.
I don't think so.
For United again?
Nah, I don't know. I didn't see all those. The penalty was soft, I think. The Pogba one?
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. I saw that. Pogba didn't even take it, which was surprising. But it's kind of like you said, that they didn't come alive till Pogba came on, it seemed like. But I think I already told you this, or we talked about it. I think Man U should have 4 to 6 points less than they do, and I think Wolves should have 4 to 6 points more than they do, because I think the top 4 is the top 4. Like, those teams have been playing the best all year, Chelsea included. Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, and Leicester. But not in that order, sorry. But I think Wolves has played the best out of United. Who in the bubble we have United, Sheffield, who just lost, right? They lost just recently, and then they lost to Newcastle 3-0.
Yep.
And then so I don't think they're gonna make it, and it's gonna be between Wolves and Man U. Realistically, Tottenham can maybe make a push, but them and Arsenal, I would say, are further away than really Wolves. It's gonna go to Wolves and Man U, and I hope that Wolves wins, just because Traore is really starting to come along really good. Every play has been going through him, and I know defender all year has been able to have an answer for him. And I think Wolves has been playing really good. Jimenez broke the record, how you told me, for the Mexican with the most goals ever in the EPL, and that's impressive. And I think Wolves has been playing better than United to me. You know, that's not always the case in football. You don't always get rewarded for playing the best, nicest style, but I think Wolves is the better team, and I hope they finish top 5. I have them finishing top 5, but Chelsea, yeah, I do think they're a good team, very good team, solid football played from Lampard's squad. It was his birthday too, I think I saw in the highlights, and his 100th match as a Chelsea coach. So that was quick.
Yeah, that's insane. Wait, isn't his first season?
I don't know, or maybe as a pro then.
Yeah, maybe as a pro. Yeah, maybe as a manager.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I like Chelsea. Or what are your thoughts on all that stuff?
We pretty much agreed. I think maybe Chelsea could even push Leicester for that third spot. But either way, in that top 4, I would agree with you, is staying. I think Arsenal is out of the picture now, and with that terrible squad and the terrible mistakes and red cards, they're probably the most likely to miss out on any European spot. And I think it's just kind of a toss-up between Spurs, United, and Wolves. But I would agree, looking on the way that they're playing right now, that, you know, maybe Wolves can. They did this last year. That's how they qualified for Europe last year too, and they're still in the Europa League too. So this could be a big year for Wolves actually. Now that you mention it, shout out to those mid to small market teams there in England. That's big for Wolverhampton.
Well, I didn't really see the Spurs Man U game, but it just kind of looked like Man U was just, I don't know, man. I just don't see nothing still. I was telling Frankie, they still play like Mourinho's old team. Like, I don't see really no creative outlets. If it's not Bruno Fernandes, it's nobody.
Last thing with England then, since I asked Andres this, De Gea should have had that save, right?
Yeah.
Is he overrated or did he peak? What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe some type of mental lapse or lack of, or I don't. I heard his competition goalie is supposed to be good, but he's on another squad, right? Like the possible England goalkeeper.
Yep, Henderson.
But I think, yeah, they paid for him after he peaked, and it's been all decline as harsh as that sounds, but that's what it's starting to look like. It seems like he makes an error every 5 games, you know, that costs them the game.
Yeah. After he spent seasons single-handedly saving him. I was arguing that if they're going to sell him, that the time is soon. Would you sell him?
Because they just paid him, didn't they? Or they messed up that whole situation. He's maximum wages and at like no types of like, I don't know, you know, because he knows he's gonna be there, the number one. I mean,
you don't think they'll find
he
a buyer?
was probably. I don't know. I think they're gonna want too much for him. I think Man U's gonna lose on this no matter what. They're gonna have to sell it for cheap, or they're gonna have to just paying him and hope that he turns it around. I still think he's definitely not in the top 5 right now.
Johnny froze there for a second, but I would agree. David De Gea is no longer in the top 5.
They're not gonna sell him. I think Solskjaer came out and said he's the world's best goalkeeper for, you know, a boost of confidence, and they're gonna stick with him. They have other pressing needs. I don't think goalkeeper is one of them.
Cool. Well, moving on from England. Again, things still kind of shuffling around, and definitely keep your eyes on the situation there, because games are coming every 2 to 3 matches for teams. So, 2 to 3 days for certain teams. we'll kind of give you our picks for best matches of the weekend or rest of the week at the end. So we'll circle back to the Premier League in that regard. But moving on to Italy, Serie A returned. But before it did, the Coppa Italia final was last Friday. Juve lost, guys. We all picked Juve. It was the only pick that Andres didn't get. Juve lost on PKs. So the way the competition worked is after full time, if it's tied, it goes directly to PKs, no extra time. And I got to say, some of those Juve players took some of the worst PKs I've seen in a while. Danilo skied one.
Dybala passed it, looked like.
Yeah, Dybala missed one too. And then I think at the end of it all, I think what was absolutely hysterical, Cristiano Ronaldo's sister took to Twitter and essentially blamed the tactics and saying that it wasn't Cristiano's fault because, you know, he can't do it all by himself, which I thought was pretty rich. But hey, Cristiano's a human being. And, you know, obviously, like we said about Liverpool and all those players coming back, there's a little bit of rust, right? And I think Juve in both the matches they played last week for the Copa were noticeably rusty. Napoli, though, gets a trophy. Let's talk about that for a quick second. I think that's definitely good for them, right? Gattuso, if I'm not mistaken, that's his first trophy as a manager.
Yeah.
And what has been kind of a really weird season for Napoli, which started with Carlo Ancelotti as their manager and then got fired after like a borderline mutiny where players were getting fined and he was trying to force players into concentration, right, where they would stay at the club. And now, you know, they're in the cup. They won the cup now, still in the Champions League with a chance against Barcelona, and can potentially even, I think, get I think they're currently 7th in Serie A, but they could even potentially sneak into some European action there too. So just when things were looking kind of bleak for Napoli, they bounce back and win the Copa. Now after
should be a concern for Barca, man.
They're in 6th place right now, Frankie.
Napoli?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so they moved up one spot. So Johnny, do you think they're concerned for Barca?
I think so. I mean, they're coming into a little bit of a nice form. Nothing was really expected of them. How you said, at least not the whole changing of the coaches and all that. Well, I guess a top 4 finish was expected, but they can kind of still make that. How you're saying, like they're not too far out. I don't know. None of those other teams convinced me either.
I think Roma's
too,
right?
They're 9 points behind Atalanta with a one more game played. So I don't think they get a top 4 spot. I think it's a little too late for them, but they definitely can probably pounce a really slow Barca team. Look what they did to Juve. They play a little faster than them. Buffon had a really good game. He was probably the only one that was playing that game, it looked like. And yeah, Ronaldo disappeared. He can't do it all. And at this stage of this game, he really can't carry the team by himself. So really bad pieces around him. And just Juve looks bad, but it's still enough for them to be in first place, apparently. I don't know how that works.
To be fair to him, they played him as the center forward, which isn't, I guess, his best position, right? He prefers to be played out wide, where he's got a little bit more freedom, right? And can do a little bit more instead of, you know, pulling, you know, defenders out and making runs. Higuain still isn't fit. So I mean, Juve bounced back. They won in their Serie A return. Both Ronaldo scored off a PK and Dybala scored a pretty nice goal. So it looks like they're running into form. But I think Johnny and I talk about this a lot. It's that midfield with Juve. I don't really know what the best combination. You know, their defense is solid. It's Juventus. It's a Serie A team. They're always going to be organized and pretty well disciplined in the back. And their attack is nice, right? You have CR7. You've got Dybala. Higuain is going to get healthy. But it's just that mid. The players I feel like when you say it or when you look at it on paper, sounds like they should be really strong. But Pjanic, who's rumored to be going to Barca, right? I feel like has had an off season or two now, and not very mobile, right? He's a great passer of the ball, but other than that, he's just and he's actually great at dead ball situations. He's good at set pieces, right? But other than that, I don't feel like he offers that much anymore, right? Matuidi offers a lot of energy, and Betancourt is a decent little player. He's still young. Khedira is old now and injured frequently. I don't really know.
Ramsey's always injured.
Yeah, Aaron Ramsey. Ramsey, as much as I like him, is really a threat going forward, but I don't think offers a whole lot in terms of coming back and the back and forth of being a midfielder, right? So I think that's always going to be the question for them, right? There in the midfield. As soon as they figure that out, because again, I think, Higuain and Ronaldo, up top, working off a winger, regardless of whether that winger is Douglas Costa or Bernadeschi or whoever it is, right? Or even if Dybala is playing out on the wing, I think that still could work if they can just make it work in the mid.
I think for Ronaldo to be the most effective, he needs kind of like a playmaking big center forward in that number 9 spot. You had Benzema in Real Madrid. You had like a Berbatov in United. You're hearing that, Juve might want to get Jimenez. Jimenez probably fits, that perfect piece that they might need for Ronaldo to be super effective. I don't think they just have enough goals. They have no goals besides Ronaldo from anyone else besides like Dybala. I think the next after them two, it's like 4 goals from, someone else. So they have no goals and not the right pieces. And they play really slow. So I don't know. They have a lot of work to do over the summer.
Sorry, ball's not clicking there. Inter bounced back as well after getting knocked out in the semifinals of the Coppa Italia. And they won 2-0. Both Lukaku and Martinez scored, right? The forwards getting back on the score sheet. Lukaku, of course, took a knee and celebrated with, fist up. And with that match at hand, Inter closed the gap to 6 points. So they're 5 points behind second place Lazio and 6 points behind first place Juve. So I don't know. I might have misspoken earlier. I think last episode or the episode before I said Inter was pretty much ruled out, but I also kind of forgot. There's like 11 matches still to go in Serie A, so a lot can still happen. Lazio hasn't played yet. Lazio plays tomorrow. They play their first match back, and they play Atalanta. And I think that's a critical match because Atalanta, like you said, is in 4th place, and they've just been scoring goals against everybody. They scored another 4 goals this last weekend, Atalanta, in their first match back against Sassuolo. So I think tomorrow that Atalanta-Lazio is going to be really, really, really important. But don't rule Inter out yet. I know Andres has been riding the Inter bus all season, and it looked like they were running out of gas. But Eriksen looks like he was a good buy for them. Let me start with Johnny. Do you think Inter can still challenge? And if not, who do you think wins the title there at Serie A or is in best position?
I think Juve is still in the best position. We'll see what Lazio does if they win. If they win, then it's gonna. I don't know. If they win, they're gonna be 2 points behind Juve.
1 point,
right? 1 point. See, if they win, they're right there with Juve. But if they lose or draw, they're fighting with Inter. It looks like, and that's about it. I misspoke on Napoli. They're pretty far down. But the team had no issue that they won a trophy under this guy, and that's pretty good. Yeah, Barca should be concerned. But Inter, they kind of lost all that steam, how I think you said last week. They look like a real threat, and lately they just been looking like, I don't know. I don't know. I think they're just going to try to finish top 3 and see what happens in Europa. Because I don't even think they think they're going to win the league, to be honest. I don't know.
I think
that's just me looking at it from a distance.
I think Andres brought it up a couple weeks ago, too, that even a 3rd place finish for Inter, like this season, would be like a good for them, considering the history of the teams from Milan in the last 10 years, right? They went from probably 2 of the biggest clubs in the world to nothing, right? It's chronic 6th and 7th place, right? There was a point where both of those teams didn't even qualify for Europe. So elsewhere in Italy, speaking of Milan won yesterday 4-1. And that's a pretty good result for them. They don't have Ibrahimovic right now, but it looks like they're still getting results and still kind of working their way back up into the Europa conversation. And the last thing I want to say about Italy, too, is last week in the Coppa Italia, he got kicked out of practice. But today, Chucky Lozano, our boy, got a goal at the end to seal the victory as Napoli won against Verona today, 2-0. And then,
but I'm telling you, Barca needs to be careful.
Yeah, they got to be careful. I will say, though, I think I texted you guys before we went live that if you guys saw the play, I think Chucky fouled the defender. He jumped on his back. He had the hands on the shoulder. And I was like, yo, that's the only way my short ass would get to a header too, right? So, but it looked like a foul to me. I don't care. I'll take it. He got some playing time and he scored. So shout out to Chucky out there in Naples doing his thing. And yeah, we'll kind of make our pick on the Lazio-Atalanta game later on, and we'll keep you posted on the race there. And then kind of to start to wrap up the show for today, we take it back to Spain, where I was going to say it's a 2-horse race. It usually is a 2-horse race, right? In recent times, Atletico's made things interesting, including winning La Liga once in the last 10 years. But right now, Barcelona and Real Madrid are neck and neck, but Real Madrid has the head-to-head advantage. Barcelona won today, so they're clear 3 points, but Real Madrid plays tomorrow, so they can tie it on points, but be up on the head-to-head. They have a very similar goal differential too, right? Like I said, it doesn't matter because the tiebreaker in Spain is the head-to-head. But Real Madrid beat Valencia last week, and then they beat Real Sociedad. Now, Johnny, I'm going to start with you here because we had kind of talked about it one-on-one. There's a lot of controversy in that Sociedad loss, right? A lot of people, obviously, from the Barcelona camp and the media are trying to say that maybe there was like refereeing controversy and suspicious things going on. But Real Madrid was definitely benefiting from several decisions in that match, right? So you think the penalty against Vinicius was soft?
I do, and I'm recalling another soft penalty. And do they have a penalty against Valencia too, or am I making that up?
No,
I can't remember.
They had they did get lucky on a VAR where Rodrigo scored before they scored, and he got
okay. There you go. I don't know. Yeah, I remember seeing the Vinicius foul. I'll look at it again because I got the highlights up. But I think it was soft, man. I don't think it was a penalty. I don't know.
I think a former ref came out saying that 90% of the refs probably want Real Madrid to win the league every year. So I mean that goes to show you the kind of discrepancy when using VAR in La Liga. Maybe it does go for Real Madrid, and they want to see Barca and Madrid all the way towards the end. But I mean, Benzema has been playing somewhat well. Kind of a fortunate, shoulder goal that he had. Don't know how.
That was another one. That was the handball. So now they're saying, if what I understood, starting next year, anything above the sleeve line isn't a handball. But if it's under your sleeve line, it's a handball. So basically, if it makes contact with your skin and you're wearing a jersey, short sleeve jersey, it's going to be a handball, right? So that was another one of the controversial ones too. And then, of course, Sociedad had a goal ruled off in this match too. Januzaj, the former United player, took a shot from outside the box, and they ruled it off because they said that an offside Sociedad player interfered with Courtois, right? Which I think is also debatable. So I can totally see that. It's totally clear that Real was benefiting from these decisions, but I think I think it was a little bit of luck. As I don't think it was as malicious as some people would say, right? But I think like
you're
said,
forgetting that the Casemiro had this elbow that everyone was talking about as well. And no one, and they're like soft, but it were like a lot of people were saying that too should have been a red. That's like 4 decisions in one game, bro.
Yeah.
And then the game before it again, like I mean, you continue on your thought. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to bring that up.
It actually segues nicely because Pique kind of alluded to the same thing. He kind of said that they were getting. He kind of alluded to them getting the benefit, and also saying that at this point it's going to be very difficult for Barca to win the league, right? Because again, Madrid's got the head-to-head, and now since they're tied on points, it's Madrid's to lose, right?
After the Barca tie to Sevilla as well.
Yeah, that's right. Barca did tie against Sevilla on Friday.
Well, these were arguably Real Madrid's 2 toughest games left. Because remember how we're talking about how Sevilla's in top 4, and Valencia is supposed to be this like, I mean, used to be a powerhouse team. But I saw the game against Sevilla too. Like the game was like Valencia really didn't. I'm sorry, I said Sevilla. Valencia didn't show me much, bro. I mean, Madrid kind of, yeah, they let one go and then the floodgates opened. And against Sociedad again, and even then, how you said, they need the Rodrigo goal that was called back, controversial. And then against Sociedad, all those calls, man. I mean, I'm not trying to say either that there's malicious intent, but definitely like, I don't know. I think those were Madrid's 2 toughest games left, and they should just see it out. I don't know.
I would agree with you, and I was particularly worried today because you brought up the excellent point that Barcelona's probably got the trickier schedule for the remainder, and they tied Sevilla on Friday, which was another dull match. Wasn't a whole lot going on there. And then today they won, however, barely pulled it out. We're still waiting on Messi's 700th goal. He's on 699, but he did get the assist today to our boy Ivan Rakitic, one of the most underappreciated players in modern soccer, honestly, and on that team. But Messi had the assist to tee up Rakitic, and they won 1-0 against Athletic Bilbao. So just when you kind of expected Barcelona to keep slipping up again, I was nervous. I thought they were going to slip against. I was expecting possibly another tie today, but they pulled out the win to kind of keep the pressure on Madrid because of the depth, because Hazard is coming back and looking good, because Vinicius is drawing penalties, because Benzema scored a worldie the other day, right? The one where he received the pass from Asensio with one foot and volleyed it on the half volley with the left. I would still say that they're probably, and now they're getting all these decisions and luck swinging their way. It's definitely
I'm seeing it again right here. That's definitely a handball
on
the
Benzema
goal. I remember I saw this highlight in real time, and I just thought it was weak goalkeeping, which it also was.
Yeah,
but this motherfucker literally stretches his elbow out like if it's his hand. Yeah, this is ridiculous though. You know, this is what we're picking up here, where it's just like you can't on sports or news, or I guess you can, but that was bullshit. Yeah, that was a handball, easy handball, and they still went to VAR. How you're saying, you know, makes it all more crazy. Makes us think like we're crazy or something. Like.
Yeah, right. And then
I don't know.
This is why Piqué said it's difficult, right? Because there's all kinds of madness going on. But again, at least we have a race here.
Yeah. I think Barcelona are in deeper trouble than we think. De Jong might be out for the season to, you know, take care of his injury after being misdiagnosed, apparently. And De Jong looks like the type of player that if something's wrong, he's going to, you know, kind of be angry about it. He doesn't really have that temperament. He loves Barcelona, and to be mad at them.
got a calf strain, right?
Kind of worrying, yeah. And then Busquets is kind of out for the next game.
Suspended,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have to start Ricky Puig, who was, a little more electrifying than other players on that team.
Got Rakitic and Arthur, bro.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing a lot from Barcelona. Suarez is not. Messi and Suarez are singling out Griezmann, and it shows every game. Griezmann is not in his position, and he works to maybe get some place for Suarez, and he's not getting a ball back. They're not helping Griezmann.
There were reports this week of Gressi, Gressi. I'm combining their names, Griezmann and Messi. Discussing, right, or having a borderline argument about Messi not passing to him, right, or I will say in this game
I
today's
told
match,
you it was real, Frankie.
in this match, I don't know if this was like a concerted thing, like a thing that they knew that it was being talked about, but there was definitely times where Messi was looking for Griezmann in this match. I'm not saying one match turns all of that around, but there was one in particular where Griezmann probably should have had the finish where Messi teed him up, right? Where Messi could have probably done something else a little bit more selfish. But you also bring up another point on this. They have been playing in these last couple matches since the return. You've been seeing a lot of Fati and a lot of Ricky Puig. And both of them looked good. After they came on today, the match got a little bit more exciting. So I am encouraged by the fact that they're using some of their youth, right? We kind of really grew up to love Barcelona around that, romantic ideal of La Masia, right? And then playing that team that was, every player on that team had come from the academy, right?
Do you think that's enough to beat like Atletico Madrid coming up in a couple games? I don't think
I don't think it's enough to win a Champions League. It might be enough to win the La Liga. I still give Real Madrid the edge, but I am just like Juve. I'm concerned about the midfield mix for Barcelona right now. Today at this hour, the only one I'm confident in is Rakitic. Like Johnny's saying, Rakitic is tried and true. Busquets is suspended and has been up and down all season.
Vidal, you can't knock Vidal.
So Vidal's a little bit undisciplined now.
He's past his prime, bro.
But he does bring drive to the game. Like he does go forward, right? Arthur has been injured, and also it might be a little bit distracted. There's talks of Arthur being sold or swapped with Juventus for Pjanic, and today it was reported that a fee has been agreed. So Arthur's head may not even be in the game right now. Again, I would prefer that Arthur stays. I like what he could potentially bring to the squad, but again, he's not established.
Would you rather have Ricky Puig or Arthur?
I'd have Arthur.
Wow, I would not have Arthur over Ricky Puig.
I would have Arthur over Ricky Puig, bro. What are we even talking about here? I don't think that midfield. Obviously, the midfield's a problem, but there's options there.
Can you name one game where you said, "Wow, Arthur went off offensively"?
Yeah, or offensively. What do you mean? You don't need him to be necessarily offensive. Yeah, he's had good games. Frankie will tell you, but
for that Barca to work, you need Arthur to set.
Arthur's
how is Puig any better than that?
He's a lot.
What makes you play Puig over him?
Puig's a little bit more. Look, Puig's a little bit more attacking and a little bit more of a goal threat. Arthur's more of a Xavi. And I almost hesitate to use.
But you don't need the Xavi.
Exactly. There's nobody like Xavi, but he's in the mold where he keeps play ticking over. Arthur is the pass before the assist guy, like kind of like Modric, right? He's the guy who gets the ball, keeps it, and then just keeps it moving on to the other players, right? And I think that's why Arthur is important, right? Where I think De Jong is the base player who can dribble and drive forward and then lay it off. Arthur's the guy with a little bit more controlled possession. So I don't expect Arthur to contribute with goals, but I expect him to be making those passes where Arthur's the one that dumps it off to Messi before Messi makes that diagonal pass, right? Or Arthur's the one who makes the ball out to Alba before Alba does the crossing on the ground, right? That's the kind of player that I think that Arthur is, and that he's shown a little bit before his injuries. Granted, this is now he's been at Barca a year and a half. He played really well for Brazil last summer. So
yeah, he hasn't really, shown a level that he needs to be at for Barca.
I would agree. I don't think he's been convincing 100% yet. Again, he's a young player. I think he's 23, 24. He's not at his peak or prime yet. And I think we go back to what Xavi said when he was signed. He's got the DNA, right? He's a Barca type player. So I just, if he's sold, I won't be devastated, but I'm also I'm not for it. I would rather he stay. And I think that potentially a midfield of De Jong and Arthur, I think those are the two you start with right now for Barca, and I'd be okay with that. Well, not start with right now, but to build around as a midfield.
I don't think it's a problem if Puig is the other midfielder that comes on, as long as he has Rakitic and Busquets there still. I don't see him being I see him kind of the same as Arthur, where they're kind of interchangeable / we don't need them to do something amazing because they got Rakitic, who looked like he scored an emotional goal. Might be a little bit of a pickup for Barca in the mid. Yeah. And Busquets, I mean, he's still, talk about him like he's trash, but he's still decent. You just need Puig to move the ball around a little bit, maybe make a run. Like, they got Messi for that, He just needs to play spot and be right there. But go ahead.
I think they're using Puig in the perfect role right now as a kind of like a sub. He's every time he comes in is a little bit later in the match, after the 60th minute, and it instantly energizes the squad, right? So I definitely think one of the big problems, and you both have mentioned this, is Barcelona's build-up and possession is there, but it's so slow. It's predictable, right? They telegraph it, right? Puig and Fati kind of change that. So I like that Fati comes in for Griezmann sometimes, who's been ineffective, right? Because Fati is variant there, right? He changes the game a little bit there. And Puig right now at this age is a sub. This is how Messi started. I'm not saying that Puig is the next Messi, right? Or to expect that kind of thing or output from him. But this is how Messi started, right? He came in off the bench. He used to split time with Juli, who was the winger at Barca at the time, right? Before eventually making the spot his own, right? So I kind of like the way they're using Puig right now. And I guess to just kind of round out the part on Spain, I think, Napoli can definitely bring problems to this Barca lineup. But this Barca lineup might be enough to pull it up in Spain. So Messi got his 250th assist today. The man has 250 assists and 699 goals for Barcelona. Right? Crazy numbers. Some will say he's scared of proving himself elsewhere, but that type of longevity, we're talking about 12 seasons of 20-plus goals now. Ridiculous. And he still seems to be kind of the center of it all. Barca's most dangerous player.
But still touching on Barca, and I think it's important that, like, Braithwaite, how do you say his name? He's been playing pretty good too. The problem's not even turning. Obviously, the midfield's been a problem, but the attack looks more of a problem right now. How Andres was saying too. There's just no variance, and at least like Madrid had the thing that we keep saying, or at least I keep saying, is that they have the depth. Like James played this weekend, Casemiro might be injured too, but they got Valverde to come in. Like they're not like, whereas Barca, like once something doesn't work, it's like it's a real mission to get anything going.
Yeah.
And then that's when we bring up the midfield. But like, I don't know. It's been tough to see. That's why the goal from Rakitic, how you're saying, this is one of their tougher games, and it was nice to see that they pulled it off. So I don't think it's over by any means, because they got Messi, which is the trump card, and they might play Napoli, and he just might be like, you know what, hat trick today, because everyone's been on my ass for this, and that was it. Because Napoli, not to take anything away, they kind of just play defense and then hope to counter.
Yep.
Nothing amazing. But yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
No, definitely. And you bring up the excellent point that there's no plan B at Barca. Setien, for as good as a possession coach as he is, he doesn't change the scheme, right? Can you imagine Barca lining up in anything else right now than this 4-3-3, right? I don't think so.
They try like a 4-4-2, but it's the same thing, just to defend. Yeah.
So no, yeah.
I don't know, man.
No, I keep trying to be optimistic even for Barcelona in the league, but then you also brought up a name that I kind of forgot, Fede Valverde, right, who has been playing stellar this season too. And yeah, no, Madrid is just looking, right, you're like, oh, they lose Casemiro, but Valverde comes in. So we even saw James in this match for Madrid too. So yeah, Isco somewhere on the bench too. So there's a lot going on over there too. Really briefly before we move on to the picks section, Bundesliga is pretty much wrapped up. We know that Bayern Munich is going to be the champion. This last weekend, Borussia Dortmund, after losing their previous match, beat RB Leipzig 2-0. 2 more goals from Haaland. He's got to be the golden boy this year, right? For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, not only does he have something like a goal in every 65 minutes since he joined Dortmund, he's got over 40 goals total for both clubs that he's played for this season. And the ones for Dortmund are all from open play. None of those have been penalties. I didn't realize that.
I think that's he's the fastest teenager to 40 goals. Messi and Ronaldo did it at like 22, 23. He's only 19 years old. So
crazy what that kid is doing. And Dortmund pretty much wraps up second with those 2 goals from him. They need to lock him in this summer. If they're going to lose Sancho soon, they need to lock him in. So under that, though, Andres, before we went live, brought up an excellent point. Kind of 3rd, 4th, and 5th are still up for grabs there in the Bundesliga, and there's one last match this weekend. So lots of drama there in the Bundesliga for the final Champions League spots, and also for relegation, because the relegation scrap there in the Bundesliga is interesting too. We've got some big names, some names that used to be glorious, right? Werder Bremen is down there looking to possibly get relegated. So keep your eye on the last match of the Bundesliga. And only the last thing I want to ask you guys really with the Bundesliga is, I was reading some crazy stats. This Bundesliga champion Bayern team is about to be the highest scoring Bayern team or Bundesliga team ever, which is insane to consider that they started the season with Kovac and finished it with Hansi Flick. So my question to you guys is, they're getting close to the records. Is this Bayern team right now better than any of the Pep teams? Because now they've scored more goals than the Pep teams.
The Pep teams, yeah. I think there's a lot of players that can interchange. There's a lot of players that are willing to score. There are a lot of players scoring, and you have Lewandowski hitting braces on the second to last match day. He's probably top 3 Ballon d'Or candidates. So at this pace, they're scoring goals, and I'm not surprised. They have a lot of players in a lot of positions who can move the ball, and players like Coutinho can't even make the first team. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
And they're healthy now, yeah.
No, I don't even think. I don't know. I think the Pep Bayern was a little bit, at least stylistically, better. This is more traditional Bayern. This is kind of typically what they always play when I think of Bayern. Very direct, very 4-2-3-1 lineup all the time. Center forward, wingers. But I don't know. Maybe I'm talking shit, or maybe I'm just hating on them. But yeah, I like the Robin better with Lewandowski still, Mueller, and a Ribery. But I didn't know that actually. All those, Schweinsteiger. I didn't know they had all those goals. It is funny considering how they were struggling and how competitive the league was up until the restart. But I don't think the competition this year has been as tough as it's been other years. But I guess is that an oxymoron, or how do you say that? Because they've won the league 8 straight times, you know?
Yeah,
So
no,
it's like, so really, when was it more competitive, you know? Since
it
the
it looked
freaking
close.
flop years? Yeah. It
It looked
looked
close.
close, but yeah. But I guess they'll prove it in the Champions League for me.
I mean, they also hold the record for most goals in Champions League group stages as well. So as soon as I saw that, and as soon as I saw the way they were scoring goals, I knew that they were a tough challenge for any team in Champions. So they
Yeah,
haven't proven me wrong.
you have been saying that, as much as it pains me to accept, but you have been saying that. I was gonna go even farther and say, are they better than the treble team? But just because that team won a treble, I would say there's freaking no way that they can be better than the treble team, right? And that was before Pep. That was the Henkes team, right? With when Robin scored the game winner against Dortmund in the 2013 final. I think that's probably their peak in modern times, right? But I think this current team is pretty close to second. I would agree with Johnny. There was a few years there in the Pep years where Xabi Alonso was at the base, right? And it was just really nice football. But they never won the Champions League, right? That's what it's been eluding Pep ever since the Barcelona days, right? Maybe this is the year. And watch Bayern wins it without Pep too. But that I would, if I were him, I'd feel some type of way.
It's gonna be hard for a matchup like that for them to win Champions. They have to avoid a really defensive team like Atletico, or maybe another high scoring team like City, or maybe just a wild card Atalanta team that just outscores them. I don't know. We'll see. It's Champions, but yeah, they definitely look good for at least a double. They'll win the double.
All right, for sure. And then we'll wrap up today's show with our picks and games to watch.
Wait, can I make a note?
Yes.
We didn't talk about Atletico, and they've been looking real good too now. And our boy Herrera's been starting. They put 5 goals past who they play. I don't know, but I just want to bring them up too. That I like Atletico more than Barca or Real Madrid, even though they're kind of out of the Champions League already. And I think they're starting to look real good too, where it's like they'll bring trouble to any team. Especially, I think they would match up really well against Bayern too.
Yeah, they've actually moved up to 4th now, right? Actually, yeah, you're right, Johnny. Thanks for calling us out on not giving El Cholo's team some love, right? Because they did whoop 5-0, right? In that match, Joao Felix had 2 goals, which was important. And they won today as well. They won 1-0.
Third place now.
Yeah, so Atletico.
Watch out for them.
Yeah, they're back where they should be in the Champions League spots. And you're right, there looks like and this isn't something I ever thought I would usually say with Atletico, but they have some depth and a lot of quality there, right? We know they're still riding the high of beating Liverpool at Anfield, right, to advance to the next round. So if you can beat a team like Liverpool, you know you've got some quality, right? But then remember, didn't this kid Llorente score 2 goals in that match? Right?
Yeah.
And he's been playing well. Thomas is a target for English teams for a reason, right? Koke was playing out on the right wing today and played well. Herrera's been coming in as a sub and playing well. Felix is playing well. Costa looks a little bit like himself again, right? You've got guys in the mid.
Correa.
What's his name today? Hermoso played center back, and he looked like a solid center back there, right? And then they still have Felipe at center back, and Jimenez. Honestly, yeah, you're right, Johnny. They do have a lot of depth and a lot of interesting pieces there to potentially make a stand there.
You forgot the name. Sorry, Lamar, Vitolo, Carrasco.
Yeah,
Correa.
Yeah.
Morata, Costa,
Oblak set the record. Oblak set the record saves or most clean sheets in La Liga.
Yeah, so they're kind of I don't know how they haven't been better all year, but out of nowhere, it's how you said Llorente's coming in the midfield and scoring goals and just looking solid, and that team's just hard to break. And with all that mid, Herrera's starting to kind of come into that starting in the mid with I forgot with who he played, but they just have so many options. How you said so. Yeah. Shout out to them.
Good shout out actually, because they went from 6th to 3rd, going from strength to strength, and I gotta say too, they looked fresh in those gray retro-ish Nike 3rd kits. I know when those dropped at the beginning of the season, I wasn't fond of them because of the neck thing is weird, right? They got the weird collar. But after watching Atletico cream that team 5-0 in those, and then Chelsea wore their black ones this season too with the similar neck, that just looked fresh. I guess it just took a while to grow on me. But yeah, no,
Atletico, and they still gotta play Barca.
I think it's been a result of them just kind of underachieving all season, that it just kind of snuck up on us now, right? But yeah, and don't underestimate the momentum, right, of throwing out a team like Liverpool and then considering all the pieces that we just named, right?
Well, like the thing I want to bring up is because like when we think of the Atletico has been underperforming, but like when you think of these teams like PSG, Juve, Barca, like they're getting by on like one person, whereas Atletico still seems like they have a lot of more, like they know what they're playing for, and these other teams just don't. Because I know I've been thinking about the Champions League, and there's not like a standout team, even though we're praising Bayern, even though we're saying City or whatever. I don't think that there's a team that's like necessarily head and shoulders above, And I think Atletico's coming in really, really hot, and just they kind of know what they're doing. Like they might face a team like Juve, who, how we're saying, lost for options and just collapses on the field. Same thing with Barca. We don't know what's really good with them. PSG's never been that far, so it's starting to get good, and that makes me happy. There's a lot of talking points, and football is back, right? So that's cool, man.
Summer of football, baby. All right, we'll wrap it up with our picks. These are the 6 matches in the next couple days that I thought were the most interesting. You can watch all of these from June 24th, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, through the 27th, which is this Saturday. Now, again, keep in mind, all of these leagues, Italy, England, and Spain, are playing matches frequently. So there are definitely more matches that I missed. But this is kind of the cream of the crop. Tomorrow in the Premier League, Wednesday the 24th at noon, you can catch this on NBCSN here in the States. We have Man United versus Sheffield United. Important matchup for those Champions League and European qualifying spots. Who do you guys got?
I got
yeah, go ahead.
I got United. I think Pogba starts in the mid, and they got something going there.
Yeah, me too. I think it should be an easy United win. Or no, you know what? It won't be easy. It might be a hard grinded out like 1-0. But especially coming after a loss, I think Sheffield needs to win, but I don't know that I can really say they're going to win. So I'll go Man U.
Yep, I'm going to do a clean sweep for Man U. I think Sheffield has played great. I think they've overperformed, though, right? And they're going to start regressing. And I think, again, United, I don't want to say Pogba solves all the problems, but I think he can only help, right? And he's playing now, so I'll go United as well. Tomorrow, too, right after that on NBCSN at 2:15, also in the Premier League, we have Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. Who you got, Andres?
I think Liverpool finally bounced back and score a couple goals. They figure it out, or they just, want that showdown against City, so they need a win here.
You, Johnny?
Same.
Yeah, I'm calling Liverpool as well. And that sets up the stage for them to win the Premier League against Manchester City on the 2nd. So,
unless City drops points against Chelsea, but I mean that could happen. They could win it, or 2 days from now. But I really want to see the City Liverpool game mean something, not just fodder.
Awesome. Well, since you mentioned it, that's actually the next one on the list. On Friday, the 25th, we have Chelsea versus Man City. I'm sorry, not Friday the 25th, Thursday the 25th, at 2:15 on NBCSN. Probably the best matchup since the Premier League has returned. Who do you got, Johnny? Chelsea or Man City?
I'll take Chelsea.
City.
All right. City. I'm going to go with the draw for this one. I think both teams
wins the title then?
I think both teams come out guns blazing. And Chelsea's just showing me some stuff. I still think they're liable on the defense, which could come back to haunt them because Sterling looks like he's rounding out into form. But you know what? Draws worked out for you last week, Andres, so I'm gonna go with the draw. All right, so we'll switch to Italy now. Tomorrow at 2:45 on ESPN Plus, Atalanta, who's in fourth place and scoring mad goals on everybody, plays third place Lazio. Lazio hasn't played yet, so this will be intriguing. This could be a big match to decide the champion there in Italy. Who do you have? We'll start with Andres.
I got Atalanta.
Ooh, that's a upset alert.
I think Lazio's gonna have some problems with their offense. They kind of play with a 3-man back, and I don't really see what else they're gonna do to try to stop Atalanta's high-scoring offense.
What about you, Johnny?
I think they both play with 3 at the back. I want to say, but
yeah, he's right. Actually,
I want to say, I wanted to play Atalanta. I will say Atalanta, but I'll take the conservative tie.
Honestly, a draw against Atalanta would be good for Lazio. I mean, obviously, you want to keep the pressure up on Juve, but Atalanta is right there in fourth place, not too far behind them. So, man, you know what? I'll go Lazio on this one. I want Lazio, and I need them to increase the pressure on Juve here and really make Juve work for this title. So we'll go Lazio because Lazio has got, don't forget, the highest scoring player in Europe still. In the Golden Boot front runner, Ciro Immobile. You've got Luis Alberto pulling the strings. And I think Lazio is one of those teams like Atalanta. Not Atalanta, like Atletico. Inzaghi's got like a Simeone thing going on there where all those players buy into the system and are really focused and dedicated and play for each other. And they realize that they have an opportunity that they probably won't get too frequently there, right? So I'm going to go Lazio there. That's the only thing we got for Italy this week. And then we switch over to Spain. Tomorrow, Real Madrid plays Mallorca. I want to say that we're all picking Madrid for this one, but I had to include it because we got to, stay up to date on the race for first place there in Spain. So am I correct in assuming we're all going Real Madrid on this one?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I think so.
I want to say a draw.
A draw. Oof, that's a bold one too against Mallorca. Barcelona just beat Mallorca. Now, two different teams, but
I think Madrid is benefiting a little bit, like you guys said, from the controversial causes. They're bound to lose points, and sometimes it happens against these teams where you're kind of struggling to get goals or you're looking elsewhere like Ralph's. So I think they're gonna pull a draw here.
They're gonna slip up finally.
Maybe like a goalless 0-0 is what I'm hoping.
All right, and then finally on Saturday at 10 a.m. Oh, I forgot to mention these last two are both on Bein. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. is the Madrid-Mallorca, and then Saturday at 10 a.m. on Bein Sport. Barcelona versus Celta Vigo. Who you guys got? Now, this is an interesting one because Celta needs to win. Otherwise, they're in the relegation zone. So they're fighting for their survival. They've got some interesting players like Iago Aspas, like Santi Mina.
Well, Didn't they just win 6-0?
Yeah, and they got our boy in the back on defense. My boy who
Mourinho or
was
something.
Sasul, what's his name? Araujo. Nestor Araujo is
Yeah.
Celta Vigo there.
They got the ex-Barca defender there too, the Colombian.
Jason Murillo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call. So
Surprising that team's so low.
Yeah, no, I don't know how it happens.
They got good pieces, yeah.
Every once in a while, they're relatively high scoring. I think actually Rafinha's over there too. Rafinha's playing at Celta Vigo, and he just scored 2 goals in that 6-0 that you mentioned too. So there's some players that are familiar with Barca and they got a lot to play for. So all that being said, how about we start with you, Andres? Who you got?
I got Barca winning.
What about you, Johnny?
I'll take Celta then, just for, I don't know. I think Barca's going to let up goals, and they haven't been convincing at all. They might squeeze out a win.
Well,
I'm going to go Barca. I'm going to go Barca, and I'll tell you why. Because Messi's going to score his 700th goal. That's why.
I agree.
Maybe you're right, but I'll keep playing devil's advocate, I guess.
All right, for sure.
He already had 2 chances too, though, bro.
Yeah, you're right. But he's serving up those assists still, so I'll take that. But that about wraps it up for today, everybody. Thank you guys who joined in live. Thank you guys for sharing whenever, if ever you've shared any one of our shows. Thanks for watching. Please continue to watch us. We'll be back next week. Give us some comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. And definitely watch as much soccer as you can because there's nothing else on. Apparently, baseball is finally coming back in July. MLS may or may not come back because Florida is spiking like freaking crazy. And people in Orlando got COVID all over. The women's team for Orlando pulled out of the women's tournament because they have 10 players with COVID, bro. The NBA is supposed to do things in Orlando. How are they supposed to do things in Orlando with all this crazy shit going on? This is why we need to appreciate soccer because everything else is uncertain. So watch as much soccer as you can. Thank you as usual. On behalf of Andres, Rafa, and Johnny, we'll see you guys soon. Peace out and thanks again.
Peace. Thanks.